Cronux Studios. The wind howled like a mournful cry across the cliffs. The tribe stood in a line at the very edge, their silhouettes stark against the horizon. Below them, the abyss yawned, a swirling void of black and turquoise light, pulsing faintly, like the slow heartbeat of a god. No one spoke. No one dared to breathe. They had followed Galamir to this place, drawn by his visions, his unwavering certainty. Now they stood on the precipice, where faith and fear became the same thing. Behind them, the desert stretched endlessly, abandoned by the stars above. Before them, the void beckoned, alive yet silent, an impossible promise and a terrible end. Galamir stood at the center, his face carved from stone, unyielding against the roaring winds. The tribe watched him, their expressions torn between reverence and dread. Galamir turned to face them, his voice cutting through the howling storm. It was low, resonant, filled with a weight that pressed against their hearts.
We stand at the edge of eternity. The world as we know it is dust beneath our feet. Cronux has shown me the truth. It is not the end, but the beginning of something greater.
His words hung heavy in the air, and the tribe shifted nervously, eyes flickering between Galamir and the void below. The elder whispered, his voice trembling.
Galamir, what lies beyond?
Galamir's gaze burned into him, unblinking.
Beyond is becoming. Beyond is Vorathor. It is not death that waits. It is purpose. But only those who give everything may endure.
The void pulsed beneath them, its glow intensifying, as though stirred by his words. Silence fell once more. The wind paused, as though even the desert waited. Then, a young woman stepped forward. Her face was pale, but her resolve was unshakable. She approached the edge, her breath shallow, her gaze fixed on the abyss below. Galamir raised his hand toward her, his voice softer now, almost tender.
Go willingly, let doubt die here. If you are worthy, you will rise.
She closed her eyes, whispered something to herself, and stepped off the edge. The tribe gasped as she fell. For a moment, there was nothing but silence. Then, the void stirred. Her form dissolved into streams of turquoise light, drawn downward like threads pulled into the heart of the abyss. The glow pulsed once, brighter, as though the void had accepted her. Another man approached, his steps uncertain. His knees shook as he peered over the edge, sweat beading on his brow.
I can't,
he whispered, backing away. The wind screamed as though in rage. The ground beneath him cracked, and before he could flee, an unseen force dragged him forward. His screams echoed as he fell, but the void did not glow. It devoured him whole, leaving no trace, no light. The tribe recoiled, terror gripping them. Galamir's voice boomed, unrelenting.
Doubt has no place here. Vorathor demands everything. Submission is the only path. Hesitation is annihilation.
One by one, they stepped forward. Some fell willingly, their forms dissolving into light, accepted by the void. Others hesitated, only to be consumed, erased as though they had never existed. At last, only Galamir remained. The wind fell silent again. The void beneath him grew still, waiting. The cliffs seemed to lean inward, pulled toward the center of gravity that had begun to form at the heart of the abyss. Galamir looked over his shoulder, where his tribe had stood. Now there was nothing, just empty sands and the endless horizon. He turned back to the void.
I am the Harbinger. I am the Voice-Bearer. Vorathor, I give myself to you.
He stepped forward. The world held its breath as Galamir fell. For a heartbeat, there was only darkness, silence. Then the void erupted. A wave of black and turquoise energy shot upward, roaring like a storm. The cliffs fractured, chunks of stone breaking free and spiraling downward, drawn toward the abyss like dust pulled into the orbit of a star. Vorathor's voice boomed across the heavens, layered and eternal.
The becoming begins. Through submission, you endure. Through us, you rise.